Whoa. 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 It's the illusion. I'm here for sober Wednesday, but it's Thursday. Sober Wednesday's on Thursday because it's just the way it's going down. That is just the way it's going down here on Sober Wednesday on Thursday, dude. Brett, Mark. So, it is Sober Wednesday. It is 6:45, so I guess it'll be a short one. Hard break at 7:30. Uh Currently rolling silverware. There you go. It's a stream dedicated to those who suffer. There is a solution. Most people suffer because they don't have a direct connection to God, a God of their understanding. And so that suffering forces them to do things to fix that pain, which can become addictive for many people, i.e., drugs, alcohol, pizza, bad relationships, gambling, drama, chaos, drugs, alcohol, all that kind of stuff, man. They are a substitute for a happy, fulfilling relationship with the God of their understanding. So, for those who suffer, this time is for you to realize there is a solution. You need not suffer alone. You may be suffering tonight, but it's just a temporary state of reality. So, with that said, just standard deal, dude, is just keep the chat clean for those who may be reaching out to find some sort of solution for their situation. And generally speaking, we read chapter 5 of the big book, Alcoholics Anonymous. This is not affiliated with AA in any way. This is merely meant as a short little read on a path that works for many people to achieve a bountiful, fulfilling relationship with God and curb their addictive natures to fill that God-sized hole in their reality. So with that said, I will read. Oh, I forgot to do serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Amen. All right. Okay, dude. Hey, what's going on, Dowser, Oso, Raymond? All right. How it works. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to the simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates. They're not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They're naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those too who suffer from grave emotional mental disorder, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you're ready to take certain steps. At some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for us. But there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. Yeah. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9 made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10 continued to take personal inventory when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11 sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for the knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and practice these principles in all of our affairs. Many of us exclaimed, what an order, I cannot go through with it. Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is that we're willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we've set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter of the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear 3 pertinent ideas. A, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. And C, that God could and would if he were sought. Well, there you have it. In a nutshell, if it was only as difficult as reading that is sometimes. Sobriety, dude. It's funny. Just sometimes reading that is like a monumental task. Charlie, thank you for the support. Thank you for the sustaining ourselves through our own contributions, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, I read that sometimes, and it's like, you know what it says, and you just want to get through it sometimes. But it's like that is sort of the way it is. Like, it's amazing you can be having a conversation while you're reading that. The one thing we're not doing is complaining, dude. The one thing we're not doing is complaining. Anyway. Yeah, dude, it's a tough gig, man. Not even so much. Not even so much. I don't know, man. I'm trying to zero in on the thought for the day. Like, I think that's I've got 4 years, but I've had a hankering lately. Well, the hankering, the things, that's good. You got to be honest with that thing, right? Like, the desire to drink or take some drugs or escape, that's realistic, dude. Like, yeah, am I worried about it tonight? Do I think about it 99% of the time? I don't. 99.9% of the time, drugs and alcohol are not a solution. Dude, there's fully times I want to get loaded, dude. There's fully times I would love to just suck back a bunch of booze. There was like this thing that keeps coming up in one of my flows, and it's this like non-alcoholic tequila, right? It's like non-alcoholic tequila. You can make a margarita, and like there's a part of me that's like, yeah, and then I'm like, dude, grim. Like even the concept of a non-alcoholic drink that tastes like an alcoholic drink sounds horrifying to me, dude. It's grim, dude, right? And it's not grim because of why you would think. It's just that ain't gonna work. A non-alcohol, like I don't even have the power for that, dude. Non-alcoholic margarita, dude. How would I know? If it's actually the thing, how would I know, dude, right? Would that be enough to trigger me, right? The mental obsession, right? It's sort of like tofurkey, you know what I mean? Like, I do think about some of it on that level as like tofurkey, like, why would you eat a product that looks like what you don't want to eat, right? Like I don't understand. Like I have a vegan friend. I remember she served me tofurkey, dude. It was the grossest thing I've ever eaten in my life, right? And I was willing to like try it just to say I tried it just to be horrified. But this was like a super gnarly vegan, and I just couldn't wrap my head around, well, why would you want to eat something that looks like meat? Like I don't get the concept. It's beyond me. So it's that thing of like I don't know if my mind would know the difference. I don't know if my mind would know the difference of a non-alcoholic margarita, dude. I might just go berserk. Mental obsession, right? Because it's not only a physical addiction, it's a mental obsession and a spiritual malady, right? So you could be sitting there and so that's again to Oso. It's not so much that you have a desire and you've got a hankering. It's just checking in with what it is. Is it a mental obsession issue? Is it a spiritual malady and you're looking for a solution? Or is it your body craving something, right? And if you can kind of narrow it to that down, you can kind of look at it more objectively and be like, well, what is it? And then you begin to like deconstruct it, because all you got to do is give yourself the thought of like, well, what would that do for me? And then you're like, well, it would do nothing except move me away from God. And that's where I get to the thing at this stage of the whole deal. Like the one thing I know for sure deep down in my soul, whether I pray, don't pray, whatever, I can't escape God. Like there's no escaping God. Like I can't hide in a bottle. I can't hide in an 8-ball. I can't hide in a bunch of pills. I can't hide anywhere from God. And I think that's why like people that relapse go off the deep end and get themselves even into picture, because imagine being like physically like loaded, right? Like your body is but you're not hiding from God because you've already crossed the Rubicon, right? Like ignorance is bliss, right? Like when you were out there getting loaded and doing your thing and all of that, and you didn't know, well, no harm, no foul, right? I mean, the harm's just to you and the foul is just to you and all the other people you harm and foul along the way, right? But the minute you get sober and you do that stuff where you begin to turn your will and your life over to the care of God, you understand them, and having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we carry the message, the alcoholic, we still suffer. Like once we get into this thing where we know God exists, we've crossed over the second step, right? Came to believe the power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity. Once we've done that, like acknowledge God's existence, like it's really game over. Like it's really game over for replacement therapy, right? And that's all like drugs and alcohol are, or pizzas or bad relationships or whatever they are, is they're replacement therapy. They're like, well, I'm going to use this instead of God to take care of my spiritual malady and my mental obsession, right? Because the physical allergies are like a totally different thing, right? Like that's where you got to bump into the thing with like the mental thing, like, right? Like the non-alcoholic tequila. Like the mental obsession, whatever, like I'm going to drink a non-alcoholic tequila. Like it's not going to physically interact with you, but the mind might spin and go, ooh, yum, 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 dude. I want another one of those. And then where's the cutoff line between now you've already jumped into, I'm not drinking a thing, to I'm drinking a fake one, to now I'm drinking one, and then you're off, right? Then you're off because you've already started drinking. Because like again, it's like the tofurkey thing. Like why would you drink non-alcoholic drinks? Like why would you have a non-alcoholic beer? It makes zero to this alcoholic. It makes zero sense. But what's the point of that, dude? It's not, 5 days off the sauce. Good for you, Tommy. Good for you, Tommy, man. And so it becomes this thing where really when you check in with it, if you can solve it on the spiritual front, on the front side, that's why like the general like path to sobriety is all spiritually based. It's all, you can take care of the mental obsession. And if you can take care of the mental obsession, the physical allergy, because once the physical allergy like hits, the mental thing's gone. And fortunately, the way it works is there are a couple guardrails. Isn't that the nomenclature now? There's a couple guardrails between you and the physical thing, because the physical thing is, if you think about it, right? Like if you think of it like a dimensional or like a scaling issue, is God is everything, right? God's everything. Then you get mental. That's just your like headspace thing. And then you get physical, which is like boom down to here, right? So like if you can stay in the big God space with your drugs and alcohol, like there's a lot of room to maneuver there to solve the problem. But then like when you get down to your mental space and you're running it with just your mind, dude, like you're not with God, doing it with God anymore. Ooh, you're getting real close to getting small, right? Like exponentially, boom. So you have infinite to whatever your personal size is to now your physical size, and now you're toast, man. So that's where you get to the hankering. If you can figure out that the hankering is starts with disconnect from God. Disconnect from God gets the mind working. The mind starts looking for a solution, anything to get that pain to go away, that human experience pain of the chaos of it all. Right? So you got to go back to God. Right? You got to have the awareness to go back to God, go back up dimensionally, not shrink yourself dimensionally, because the minute you go physical, now you're off to the races, man. And one's too many, 1,000's not enough, right? So that's it's we are infinite, but I would say that, like, Evan, is the realization of God. That's why it's the second and third step, right? If you started out with God, it might be too intense. Like God's pretty intense. Super duper 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 intense, right? So that's why you got to get with the unmanageability and the powerlessness. And then you kind of like stick your toe in the water of the God thing. Came to believe that a power greater than myself. Yeah, it was pretty generic. Like whatever it needs to be, man. Like whatever that might be for you, dude. And then step 3 is when you're turning it over, right? Because if you just came in all hot and heavy with the God thing and like the infinite nature of it all, like that makes one day at a time tough, dude, right? Like if you're infinite, right? If you're infinite and part of that God, and God's flying the plane and you're sitting in the back of the bus, and you sit there, it makes one day at a time a really interesting concept, right? Like when you pick God and you go into one day at a time, it's you're living in two different like realms at the same time. But that's where you begin to find there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now, right? Because if you if you if you if you try to do your sobriety in a big infinite chunk, you'll probably get loaded. So you got to do it one day at a time, 1 minute at a time. Well, I mean, let's not forget, like, let's not forget. I would just briefly on the Huxley thing, dude. Let's not forget who Huxley was, dude. That dude wasn't delivering you answers. That dude was delivering you problems, man. That the Brave New World is a secretly a corrupting document. brought to you by the minds of corruption, right? So again, is these things are all artificial constructs, man. And 19 months, adrenaline donkey. Nice, dude. It's all about the journey. It is all about the journey, but the journey expands and contracts and warbles and expand, that's the tough part, that like you'll get stuck in time traps, dude, like sober as could be, and be like, whoa, dude, like what's going on? Like it's that thing, dude. The answer is, if we're being serious, is God real and he loves you, and to consume fresh fruits and vegetables mainly in your diet with some fun if you want. The answer is, if you're being serious, is God is real and he loves you. The answers. I don't know what you're getting at, dude. Chemical handcuffs. Yeah, get off the chemical handcuffs, Charlie. God really loves you, to consume fresh fruits and vegetables mainly in your diet with some fun if you want. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that's getting at, but it's a daily, it's the daily balance, man. It really is, dude. Yeah, but like cleaning up your lifestyle, if you don't clean up your headspace and your spiritual self, is the I guess I mean, I guess this comes from a sober perspective, is there's no point cleaning up your lifestyle if your head's still a garbage pit, dude. There's no point cleaning up your lifestyle if you're still carrying around a bag of regrets and sorrows, and there's no point cleaning up your lifestyle if you still owe people amends that you're too afraid to make, dude. Like it doesn't like, I guess what I'm saying is, it doesn't matter how much fresh fruit and vegetables you eat. If you're still garbage on the inside in your own eyes, you can be as healthy as you want. That's why you'll never get me to be like a namaste, dude, and all that kind of mumbo jumbo, yoga pants type of stuff, dude. Yoga pants spirituality is the death of humanity, dude, because that convinces you that if I just eat enough, of this and I do enough exercise, I'll be fine. No, you won't. You're better off laying on the couch, being a slug, working on your godliness, before you start being like, oh, I'm going to go like change my diet. I mean, like, again, overeating's a whole different thing. I guess I should alter that thought a little bit. But what I'm getting at is it's an inside job, dude. You have to start with the person in the mirror, right? And then all the food stuff comes later, dude. And all the diet stuff comes later, and all that kind of stuff comes later. But there's no point leading some sort of healthy, utopian, fruity lifestyle if the person inside of you is still just angry and doomsdayed and just like, and just walking around with skeletons in the closet and bags of bad juju and the whole thing, right? Like, look, I'll tell you what, I've met in this life, I have met the perfect people on the outside. All of it, dude. Just doing all the stuff, dude. Just ding. And on the outside, they look like they've got it going on, dude. They got money, they got looks, they got stuff, they got trips, they got postcards of them with whoever's and whatever's, and they're surfing and they're this and they're that. And meanwhile, they're dying inside. But if you went over and looked in their fridge, dude, you would just see top of the line, like healthy food and oh, they got the gardener out there just like picking mangoes off the tree and the whole thing. But inside, they're dying, right? And that's all I caution about that thing is don't convince yourself that how it looks on the outside is gonna answer how it looks on the inside. Sure, part of the code is fake it till you make it and all that kind of stuff, but that's not about like dressing it up. That's about more like actions than yeah, fake it till you make it. Get up, make your bed, brush your teeth, put on some clean clothes, like make yourself look appropriate, go out, take a walk around the block and go out and seek it. Yeah, like fake it till you make it. But that's not about like window dressing. I think that at this stage of the game is there's so many people just doing window dressing that they forgot that this is a spiritual condition, dude. All the fresh fruit in the world ain't gonna matter if you hate yourself. But why do you hate yourself? Well, I don't know. Well, because you haven't done the work on yourself. Well, maybe the reason you hate yourself is because you've been faking yourself out with whatever for forever while you've been doing like the most horrible things that you could do for yourself, right? It's very much that kind of a game we're playing. And then you get to a point where you begin to realize that like, yeah, the simple, like I went out and picked strawberries out of my strawberries are starting to kick in yesterday and today. Like went out and picked some fresh strawberries, right? Just beautiful fresh strawberries, grown, picked them, ate them right out of the plant, off the plant, right? And you're eating that. But those fresh strawberries didn't come without what? A decade of work prior, right? When I first started growing strawberries, because my son was a baby and I wanted him to have fresh strawberries. You know, you look at that and you go, that was a journey of 3,000 days or whatever it is. You know what I mean? That was like a long journey. Like in the beginning, dude, the concept of eating better, I couldn't have taken on that too. I could barely handle like developing a relationship with God and not getting loaded, dude, right? Just being able to look at the side of the mountain with God versus like a bong in my face, dude, or a six pack or whatever it was, right? Just being able to see God and be like, I don't need to get loaded to look at that. Cause I'll tell you what, like when you really see God, dude, and then you like take a look at yourself in comparison to what you see as God, that's a pretty horrifying reflection, dude, right? Because ultimately you see what a dirty, disgusting, rotten dog you are, dude. And you're like, oh my God, like there's God's infinite beauty right there. And I'm staring at it and I need a drink to handle that. I need a drink to slightly tune up to that. But what sobriety gives you is the ability to like steady yourself in front of that and look into it and be like, okay, that's a dirty dog staring me back. Like, so now what? Well, we're going to dig into dirty dog, see why you're the dirty dog that you are. And then you're going to like accept the truth of who you are and what you're all about and your character defects and your failings. And you're not going to run from your truths and you're not going to run from your mistakes and you're not going to, you're not going to dwell in the past, but you're not going to shut the door on it, all that good stuff. Right. Because what God's trying to show you is his beauty is the potential of what, an eyelash in there, the potential of what could be for you, you know? And so when you really get down to it, that's the rub. That's what the drugs and the alcohol were for. Because you can see I'm looking like right out my window. It's like beautiful out there, dude. I'm watching the dog play and the flowers bloom and the trees are doing their thing. And I'm like, wow, look at God's mastery. And I go, when I really get down to myself, even as a dude who's like sober and pretty tuned in with God, I'm a total disaster, dude. Like that's the thing. Like I don't shy away from it. It goes back to the dude who has a hankering. Oh, so like the reason we have a hankering is because, yeah, like no matter what, the picture doesn't change. You just begin to accept the defective picture looking you back, right? Like that's why all those people that like I don't want to like pretend like have to say I'm an alcoholic for all my life, or they want the shortcut remedy or all that kind of stuff. You know, there's a lot of people selling that, right? And you can do that too. You can put the dirty dog that you are in a box and hide it and just be like, okay, dude, like, yeah, dude, I'm not drinking anymore, dude. I'm just on my way to Tahiti, dude. And I'm doing stuff and I'm like writing books and like, yeah, dude, I'm making money, dude. I'm printer press, dude. I'm a printer press. Yeah, dude. And you can do all that stuff. But at a certain point, the dirty dog reemerges to go, dude. And if you're not there in full acceptance with your dirty dog, you're probably going to drink again, dude. The whole key of this 12-step program is to have you be able to have a loving God that will always be there for you. So when you look at the dirty dog, you don't run from the dirty dog. You go, that's me. I'm the dirty dog, dude. And that's horrifying. But God's holding my hand and telling me that, like, I'm created in his image. And now I'm going a little bit off of my relationship with God. God's going, I created you in my image. So you're perfect, dude. Even in your fallen nature, dude, just come back home to me, dude. And that's what like the sobriety is. It's not pretending you're fixed. It's not pretending any of that. It's admitting that, like, every now and then you take a look in the mirror and you forget to do it with God. And what stares you back is your broken ass self. Bah! You know, like what's that movie? Remember in Beetlejuice, right? Is it Beetlejuice? Remember Large Marge and Beetlejuice? I'm Large Marge. Bah! It's that, dude. Every now and then you look in the mirror and you forgot to take God with you. And Large Marge is there. Ah! And you're like, that's me. And so, like, if you don't have the tools to immediately grab a hold of God and be like, God, who? And God's like, don't worry, dude. That scary thing, that's not Large Marge, dude. It's just your mind portraying you as Large Marge, dude. Dude, just look inside yourself. You're perfect. You're beautiful, dude. Love yourself. Tell that because that's the gig, dude. Like, until you're able to look yourself in the mirror and be like, I love you, dude, or whatever it is for you. Like, I love you, right? You're 1,000 miles away from yourself, man. And that love you isn't like the whitewash version. Like, yeah, dude, like, it's easy to love all the good stuff, but can you really love your dirty disgustingness, dude? Like God does. Like God fully like loves your dirty disgustingness. Can you? Right? That's why the fourth and the fifth step are so important to this thing. And that's why so many people don't want to do the work, because the work is about embracing the worst part of yourself. The sobriety is about embracing the worst part of yourself so that the best part of yourself can flourish, right? I've found that it's a very awkward thing. And the more I move through it, the more it baffles me is it's only through my failings that I find success. It's only through my brokenness that I become whole. It's only through this flailing self that I can actually get back to this place where God exists. Because the minute I hate myself and I'm ashamed of myself, well, I'm casting that on God, because God's saying, dude, like, I created you in my image. You're perfect. Come to me for your broken nature, right? Turn your will and your life over to the care of God of your understanding, right? So Look, what I'll tell you this is love is this discussion in sobriety isn't about like my choice with Christianity. You got to find your own path on the thing. Like that's what I would tell you in the beginning. Like this is a what is it? Secular. This is a secular talk, dude. Like I will share my experience, but this I'm not here proselytizing. I'm not here telling anyone which way to pray, how to pray, which I tell you what it works for me, but when I talk about what God is, I think that's just a pretty basic. Yeah, I can do that on another stream. I don't mind doing that on another stream at all. But and the reason why I love it is this. Is for someone who's sitting out there who may be afraid to get sober, afraid to admit they need to get sober, and any of these like sort of jumping off points or newly sober, if you make God into like a specific thing for them, you might scare them. Right. Because again, it's like I even know talking on this, I've kind of gone a little bit too far into the Christianity thing for those that might be brand new, that were created in the image and all that kind of stuff is because for those who are newly sober, dude, God is 3 steps away still, right? You have to admit that you're powerless, dude, that you're unmanageable. So God doesn't need to be like a specific yet. And the reason that we share our experience, strength, and hope, and we carry the message to the alcoholic who still suffers is to go that like God's there for you. And again, is you don't even have to believe in God. There's a chapter of the agnostics if that's what it takes for you to get sober, because again, the theory being is if you can get sober enough to open your door to the concept, you might find the truth, right? And even me saying that that's the truth is to ultimately say that someone who's newly sober who doesn't believe in God yet is a liar. Like that's not what I mean by the truth. Is the truth being that there is something that you need to help you get sober that's way bigger than you. And the easiest word that we know to describe that is God. It's not religion. Religion is the death of mankind, from my perspective. I have a relationship with God in my own personal way, and I go to a church and I do all that kind of stuff, but I do not prescribe religion. That's not my role here on Sober Wednesdays. We want to talk about like that differently at a different time. I will expand upon that. But for those who are newly sober, like too much God is like too much air, too much water, too much anything. It has the ability to harm as much as save, right? It's sort of like this, right? To wrap it up is, or I guess we're getting there. It's like if you were to find a person who's dying of thirst, right? That's been wandering around out in the desert. Right. And they haven't had any water in 3 days. Right. Well, you can live without water for about 3 days. They're right at the edge. They're almost going to die, dude. They're just, they're about to die, dude. They haven't had water. And you were to go hand them a gallon jug of water. Right. And they were to satiate their thirst. They would probably kill themselves. You have to go to the person with like thimblefuls of like water, just little, like just wet their tongue, let the water get into their system slowly, dude. You can't take someone who's never had a drink of water and give them a gallon, dude. So that's my take on that thing is like, yeah, someone who's coming here, they're no different than a person who's walked through the desert and has been called the sun and the dry air in the desert that's been cooking them drugs and alcohol. And they finally gotten to a place where there's the oasis, which is sobriety. And if you force too much of the liquid of life, which is God, on them, you risk killing them because they might just go back into the desert and wander around and die, dude, right? So you have to be very much slightly just droplets of water in the beginning till they can develop an appetite for water, or whatever it is, the word you would use. And then you can give them more water. And then eventually they're like, can I have a glass of water? And you're like, yeah, sure. Here's a glass of water. And then you can be like, dude, here is like a house with a tap and your own water supply. Go for it. You know what I mean? So that's God's different to all of us, but how can you explain 2 billion followers of Islam and 2 billion followers of Christianity? I don't see that. There's no conflict. That stuff does. I don't see any conflict of it. I don't like again, like on the sober tip about it. Like I would say one of the gifts you get of being a member of an alcoholic group, if you will, that's getting sober, is that you realize that you don't need to have them pray the way you do. You don't need to have them. God is God is God. Like you can zero in on the truth and go for that truth. But the minute you begin to, like, again, we're talking in the sober context, we're not having a larger discussion about religion or spirituality or this or that, is when you sit in a room with someone who's suffering from alcoholism and has found the solution, you don't care whether they're Muslim, Hindu, atheist. Doesn't matter, dude. What matters is that you share the common bond of sobriety and you weren't willing to be of service to each other, right? I don't, like, at the end of the day, like, if I'm a struggling alcoholic and I need help, I don't care which way you pray, dude. Mean anything to me, man. Because if you're a member of sobriety, dude, you've already done you've already gotten to the 12 step. Came to believe the power of grace of Christianity, having found, having had a spiritual awakening as a result, he says, I can't even think about it right now. But that's what I'm getting at. Like, and then when you get out into the world, like that's why I do my show. That's why I do a show with my Muslim brother Jordan, dude. There's no reason you can't talk with God, with somebody else who prays differently, who has a different understanding of that. Like, I don't see any conflict of it, dude. I don't see conflict. I guess I come from that relationship with God where I just don't live in conflict anymore. And I don't live in conflict with myself first and foremost, right? Like, I am a broken dude. I am the dirty dog, dude. So I don't have a conflict with that. I'm not trying to pretend to be something I'm not. I don't pretend to be cured. I'm not afraid of saying I'm an alcoholic. I'm not afraid of being a drug addict. I'm not afraid of saying these things, because if I say them, I have a solution. It's the minute I say that I'm cured, I don't need any of this, that I'm in big, big trouble, because I've essentially turned my back on God, dude. Because the reason that I am an alcoholic is because I've been searching for God my whole life, right? And I couldn't find it because I was so busy walking around with my broken ass self, afraid to deal with myself. So I just made trouble and got drunk and did drugs and slept with weird people, man. And, that's what the fellowship is for. So you can hang out with people that you wouldn't hang out in any other situation, except that you're sober together, dude. Like, if you went to I go to this meeting on Friday nights, dude, up here. Not the coffee commitment, right? I'm the coffee guy. They're not people I'm going to hang with. I'm not into it like that. But they are definitely people that if they called me right now, I'd drive across the mountain to go help them. Any one of those people from my meeting called me up and were like, "Hey, dude, I need some help right now." I'd be there. Do I want to go fishing with them or have them over for dinner? Not really. Not my type of deal. But their connectivity with God, their sobriety, that's all I need, man. I don't need to judge the book anymore, dude. I don't care what the book looks like anymore. So that's what sobriety offers you. And then once you get sober, you can zero in on your God. You can get there. You can get all gnarly and get what, like I was talking to my pastor today, dude, about building some stuff for him. And you can get all gnarly about it, dude. And super like in there. And then you can go back to your meeting on Friday night with a bunch of people that think that the church is lame and talk about sobriety, dude. Like, I think that's the beauty of it all. Like AA gave me the ability to get sober, stay sober, and go mingle and live my own life and be able to sit in the room and not care what anyone else thinks, dude. I don't have to have my relationship with God validated in any way in sobriety. That's between me and God, right? So that's my take on it. So with that said, I'm going to wrap it up here as we reach the 7:30 mark. Look, this is all about not killing yourself, dude. There's too many people taking their lives. People are still taking their lives. Life's overwhelming. It seems pretty hopeless out there, but I'll tell you what, man, that's just the algorithm. That's just the media. It's just a temporary situation. So however like overwhelming life is, I don't care if your tragedy is struck or getting divorced or whatever's happened to you that makes you think that your life isn't worth surviving today to get to tomorrow, you're sadly mistaken. Your life is valuable. And whatever pain you're going through, whatever bad situation you're going through, you can use that situation to help another person in the future. So don't take your difficult situation that you want to kill yourself for and kill yourself. Use that difficult situation to help someone else overcome that difficult situation. And I'm telling you, you can overcome the difficult situation if you're willing to pick up the phone and call. So there's 3-digit code. You can do 988. 988 will get you the suicide prevention people. And it's if someone could put up the 1-800 numbers, it's 1-800. I know there's the camp. 833-456-4566. Thank you, Grateful Ed. If you're in Canada and you're thinking about killing yourself, please call 833-456-4566. If you're anywhere in the Western world and you want to get sober, you can literally type in AA Central Office and meetings will come up, phone numbers will come up. Just go to them, call them. Someone will help you, dude. It's okay. It's totally okay, dude. And the same thing with the suicide thing. It's okay that we have these thoughts. It's okay that we do these things to ourselves. But if you want to stop doing it and you realize, please just pick up the phone, dude. It's really that simple, dude. Just pick up the phone. With that said, I'm going to do the serenity prayer on the way. 988, right? 988 is the US one. I want to say it's 1-800 something talk, dude. What is it? 1-800. I want to say it's 273 talk, but that doesn't sound right, but it does. What is it, dude? I should know these by now. I'm surprised I don't. Anyway, you're on a computer. Type it in, dude. Please, just please, dude. Anyway, I get it, Megan. Let's do the serenity prayer, Megan. This is the one that it helps. This is the one we got, man. And it'll help you out if you truly dig into it, dude. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the wisdom to know the things that I can. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, right? You got to have courage to change the things you can. You got to accept the things you can't, and you got to have the wisdom to know the difference. With that said, God bless. Amen. Everybody everyone just take care of each other, dude. It's a difficult time, dude. Like, yes, it is. You're not alone. All right. This is The Illusion signing off. God has blessed us. Good night. We'll be back next Wednesday, God willing.